Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today from University of Education Lahore Department of English, I'm Farah Ashfaq and I have been dealing lecture of communication skills in BS Physics. Today dear students we're gonna read and we're gonna understand about the features of barriers in communication and how we can overcome them and how we can get rid of such situation where we just face such kind of elimination of our personality. We feel that we are not free and we are not liberal to say something, and how we can overcome such kind of riddles where we can step on our confidence, where we can step on our basic talent. So here I have some common barrier problems in communication. So first of all, what is meant by communication? When we talk about communication, it's a kind of expression element, it's a kind of information sharing element. When you are communicating with someone, you are sharing your views, your ideas, your general abilities with others, and you have been doing something which is coherent, which is understandable, which is suggestive for others some of the time, which is very curious for many of the listeners. And by communication, we got such kind of easiness when we are communicating with someone that we generate a level of understanding, we generate a level of connectivity with each other. So communication is very important, as you have heard in stories and heard in books, and as you ever heard in some newspapers or maybe some kind of literary writings, and even through people. When you are communicating with someone, people got to know about you. They just try to have an idea about you. People just try to understand what you are about, who are you, what you want to say to others. And from communication, another important thing which is elaborated from your communication, that is your expression, your gesture, your tone, your language, your keep up ability, your accent, your following of others' view, how you understand and how you perceive and how you receive the things. This is all very important in communication, but some of the time we feel general barriers. So what is the meaning about barriers? Barriers mean some kind of problems, some kind of stoppage elements when we're communicating with someone. It's a very easy example, as we understand. If you are saying prayers and someone is just having a loud music in a room, what will happen? If you are saying a prayer, you will continuously listen to that music too. So some of the time it's very difficult to keep the rhythm of salat. So what you say to the other people, that just slow down the volume because I want to perform my salah. So otherwise, in the loud volume or in loud sense, it won't be able for me to offer my salat. Even if you've seen some in some cartoons where the character, any character, if he or she is just talking in a very loud communicational level, that's gonna have so much barriers, and that's gonna have some problems. Not only the loudness, but even the stepping of word identification, the way you are saying the words, the way you are trying to tone up your discussion. All the things create some, and all the time they create problems with you. So when you talk about the barriers of communication general, if we understand them, good quality conversation some of the time is neglected. People don't try to grab the actual things, they don't try to grab the actual feelings while communicating with someone. Some of the time, good quality conversation is neglected because people uh, are not ready to understand them. People are not in that mind or in that kind of state to understand them. Likewise, we have the situation of corona on global level. Many people, they are neglecting the good quality conversation. All the learned people, maybe some understanding people, they have been saying on media, don't go closer to each other, don't embrace yourself, Don't say assalamu alaikum by shaking your hands. Just wash your hands again and again. Use sanitizers. Don't come out from your houses. But what is actually going on? People have been doing lots of things. People have been doing everything, and the government has said it's from 30th April that we have to follow the lockdown. But what are the trading communities saying? That we'll die one day if we are not opening our doors from 16th to 17th of April. We're gonna die. We will be on an deadline, so we can't do this. We will be poor. We will be just shattered. We will be dislocated. So people are not listening to some of the time that good quality experiences in communication. So when people neglected those things, it's gonna have some important circumstances and result. As when the coronavirus was spreading, what was the dialogue of Donald Trump in conversation? He said on media that what is corona? He can't do anything with me. But what happened in answer? In America, there is a ratio of death tolls. Even churches are filled with coffins, and they have no place to bury those dead bodies because people have been dying rapidly because they didn't heed to this thing that coronavirus is something alarming, and we have to overreact on this in a very serious way. Because if you're not overreacting, if you're not saving your life in a very overreacted way, you'll be die one day. You're not taking care of it. So like in America, in Karachi, situation is very same. In Karachi, people are not listening to each other. They are not listening to the discussion of the mayor of some kind of political bodies. That's why they are suffering over here. In Punjab, situation is very clear. So good quality conversation some of the time is neglected. The second one, have we lost the need of conversation? Very important thing. Do we think conversation is not important now? Some of the time it's important to just cut off the conversation when you feel that this conversation will result in some kind of tussle, some kind of query, in some kind of quarrelsome situation. It's very important to cut off everything. If you're not cutting it off, it's gonna have big results, and these big results gonna be destructive. So when you are communicating with someone, it's important to cut communication some of the time. But what is the other case? The other side of the picture is when we lost and when we feel that there is no need of conversation, what it actually creates? It actually creates some kind of hype of miscommunication, some kind of hype of mistrust among people, and the communicational barriers actually demands some strong elements to eradicate such situation, but some of the time it doesn't happen. So we need to improve ourselves so that we can just bridge our communication gap, and by doing this, success ratio is very very positive. It's very positive if you are thinking in that way. So I don't have time for conversation. It's very general and it's very common. People normally don't have time for even for their own selves. So they can say that okay, we are ready to listen to other people. Some of the time it's very impossible for people to listen to others because all the time they have such problem that they don't have time. Right now in this world, people have been busy in so many things like media, like electronic devices and gadgets, especially mobiles, especially your laptops. So people are saying are still uh, busy and we don't have time for anything. And when they don't have that particular time for doing anything, that's going to result in something zero. Because if they are not taking proper time for this, they're gonna suffer proper situations in this. I have a very relevant example to support this barrier of communication that we don't have time for this conversation. In India, the traffic police noticed the ratio of accidents on the roads. So they think about an idea what to do with people, how we can make them understand that they should follow signals, they should follow the directions. So we have to do something in this. So what they did, they actually promoted free classes on some remote areas and of distant areas of the roads, where they can teach on the spot, and they were available all the time. If the people, any person, citizen is busy in job, whenever he is getting free, he can she can have the chance to join the class at the time certainly, and they can learn the proper signal knowledge about road understanding, and they can have the road safety. So it was a very successful phenomena. Even I observed this thing in Pakistan too, where the sessions were motivated by different industries. They motivated the police, they motivated the city traffic police to do and organize the sessions, and they funded them actually. So in comparison, if you are giving proper time to the conversational lab, that's gonna have positive and good results in regard. So if you are not doing that, ultimately it's gonna have some disastrous view in end. So when you are communicating, when you are conversating with anyone, take your time and give them a proper time. It's a two-way process. If you are giving that thing, you're gonna have positive results in the end, surely. You can't say that, okay, I had done my 100%, but in return I didn't have anything. So it's gonna have proper results. So when you are communicating, always think about this factor that we should have proper time, and if we don't have a time, just ask other person or just say to the other person that at this time or at that time I'll be free, I'll be available, and I'll listen to your every conversation. That's very important, which you should have in your mind when you're communicating with someone. So another psychological contract, and very important one, when you talk about communication, and what are the important factors in communication. So we have understood about the barriers, then we discussed in detail that what are the important factors why we didn't get success while we are communicating with someone. So what are the psychological contract if we are feeling ourselves as an individual, and the theme of company that can be applied to anything, to an institute, to another person, to anything which we can say when we are communicating, and when there is a two-way process of communication. So one thing being individual, when we observe individual and the company. So if we relate the relation, and from company you can bracketize anything in this. I mean your parents, your sister, your daughter, your wife, and maybe your siblings, your mate, near and dear ones, people with whom you are having your good relations, and anything you can practice this term of company. So what you offer, I offer, what you offer in regards what the company expects. You always try to do, you always try to say, and you always try to communicate those things which are expected, or just think by the other company of the B factor. So if you are from the A section, so the B section, the B party, they always think about the expectations. That's why you always give them such kind of offers which are accepting your expectations and their expectations too. So being an individual, it's very natural, it's very general, and it's very natural. You always offer those things which are acceptable or in form of expectness to others. So in regard, what you expect in regard, because a two-way process, when we talk about communication, it's a two-way process where you say something and you expect that other one will accept, or other one will understand your opinion. So if you are saying in others' favor, others will do in your favors too. So when you expect or you just demand that I want to do this and I want to do that, the company offers that in return, because what you expect, the other person try to do that. What you need and what you demand, others try to do that thing for you. So it's a two-way process. What is your need and what is other demanding? What is your demand and what is other need? So when you are communicating or calculating these things, these gonna have a very compound vision, that on one side it's your choice, it's your vision, it's your responsibility, it's your desire element. On another side is their choice, it's their need, and it's their responsibility to understand, to locate your vision in regard. So it's a two-way process, and if you are on the individual side and if you are on the company side, the factor is always the same. When you talk about psychology, psychology reflects your personality. If you are a strong person in communication, you will always try to justify yourself. You will always try to do everything which gonna have the justification of yourself. If you're a less confident person, you will always try to overcome that trauma. You will always try, and for this, you can even wage a war with you and even with others. And this war gonna have very destructive and very bad results in regard, because obviously when you are less confident and you don't have the psychological bent with you, psychological support with you. So what is psychological support? Some of the time psychological support means other factors are satisfied with you, you are satisfied with them, and everything is clear to you, everything is something very positive for you. You are ready to accept everyone, they are ready to accept you on every aspect. So it's very important to think your psychological pattern, because it's your soul and your mind combination. If your soul is not satisfied in communication, you won't be presently present over there. Because if your soul is satisfied, you're feeling okay with the discussion, that's gonna have good results in your communication. Otherwise, some of the time it happen that you are frustrated from the soul's animal element. You are nervous, you don't want to do anything in regard. And what happened in result, actually, if you are disturbed, you're gonna have a you don't have a way to communicate better. If you are mentally disturbed, it's very general. Some of the time I also feel that thing. If I'm not satisfied, if I'm not happy, if I'm not feeling good within me, that's going to result with the result that I'm not satisfied. And on that thing, some of the time, right now we are doing online classes. If I'm not mentally satisfied, I won't be able to deliver a lecture, because I will be continuously busy and continuously struggling with my mind's approach, and it's very bad some of the time. So here we have some common barriers while we are communicating with someone. Normally, critics divided into 9 categories. So I have chosen some of them. There were many numbers, but 9 are one of the most important factors when you are talking to someone. And what are the common barriers? Number one, inattention during conversation, and it's very common. Normally, what happened actually when we are not serious? What is the reason behind this? Maybe we are overwhelmed with something else. Maybe at this moment we are not in a mind to listen to this thing. Maybe we don't want to participate in this conversation. And it's very general and it's very common to observe, because mostly what happened, why you are not interested, why you are getting inattentive in this, because some of the time psychologically your mind is not over there, your soul is not over there for discussion. So what happened in result, when a teacher asked you what I was talking about, you always said, I didn't understand you, I didn't get your point. Because what is the result in inattentiveness? uh, Many times it occurred when you're not serious. Serious doesn't mean that you're not obeying the class rules, you're obeying them. But what happened actually, sorry, on your mental level, you're not ready at that moment to listen to that thing. Normally, when we talk about the class, students are gonna have this understanding, because I'm communicating the evening session. At 3 p.m., students are very active, they are very full of energy. But when the time of 5 to 6 p.m. will come, people normally lose their energy of communication. People normally lose uh, their way of vision in lectures. they are lethargic, they are more in the want to just get rid of everything and to just leave the classroom. And if being a teacher, you're facing your last lecture from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Normally people are generating with that idea when the teacher will come, when the teacher will go, and why he is not going, why she is giving such long lectures. People get upset at the time, but at 3 p.m. they're normally very active. Even in summer and even in winter days they are very active, they are mentally available for the lecture. But mostly why they're inattentive, because time factor, space factor, communication factor, they are reflecting in that communication. Because some of the time it's summer now, and it's very important being a teacher to communicate with every student, and your speaking tendency have to be very perfect and very line up. But what happened actually, some of the time teachers have a very soft voice. What happened in result, the front row or maybe the second or third row, they are very attentive to listen to you, but the previous lines, the backbenchers, they don't have the ability to have the perfect voice quality to generate in their mind what the teacher is saying. So in result, what happened, they are inattentive in the sense. So another thing, restricted information channels. Some of the time restriction in the information channel, that also create a problem, because you are open to everything and some of the time you are not open to everything and you are not supposed to discuss these things. What happened in result, restriction in the channel information, that also creates a problem, that creates some kind of hurdle in discussions. And in classes it's very observable, when you are living in restricted information channels, your growth of mind, your growth of discussion is on the zeroed level. You didn't grow with time, because when you are restricting yourself and when the environment is restricted, your personality won't grow. It won't help you to find good things with you. Send lack of feedback. Normally, it's very common. Uh, Lack of feedback, that also creates a communication barrier. Some of the time, when it's very common in practice, people normally say before starting the lecture that while just giving my lecture, sorry, nobody is supposed to give any kind of questions and queries, because when I'll have completed my lecture, then anyone can participate in this in form of question, in form of their queries, what was in lecture. But some of the time people didn't ask for the feedback. It's also very bad. When you are delivering a lecture, you always professed and you always personalized that feedback should be there, because if you are not accepting the feedback, what will be the result? The result will be in negativity, because student will bluntly say that, and they bluntly say that some of the time and most of the time, that we didn't understand that, and you always said that I don't have time to have a proper feedback for this. So they blame the teachers for this, and this also creates a problem. And why they're blaming the teachers? Because teachers are not giving them proper time for this. So in regard, when you are communicating with your students specifically and in some organization, feedback is very important, because feedback supports your ideology. If you are not strong in feedback opinions, that's going to result in show negative opinions, because people won't understand you. People will have that idea that he's not serious enough to ask questions in back, so why we need to talk about this factor again and again. And when you conduct quizzes or question answer session in your class, after some time or maybe some after some lectures, so students always say, okay, this is not the time to ask the question, because at the time when we were communicating with you, when we were trying to communicate with you, you said I don't have time for this, and maybe the lecture time is over, maybe the lecture trauma is too much, so that's why you don't have time for this. So why now you are just inquiring these things? So this is quite unacceptable some of the time. Another thing, a culture of not asking questions normally is also very observable. Students don't have the interest to ask questions. Some of the students maybe some sharp or maybe some inquisitive questions. Some of the time, some students who always wants to question all the time on any situation, they always say that we need answer for this question, we need answer for that question. So questions are good, but the question shouldn't be an answer of a question. Question should be a question. And when we're talking about a culture of not asking question, Europeans and European schools, they are brimmed with this. They deliver a lecture and they always said they always said prepare a presentation, not prepares your queries on it, and afterwards we'll discuss this factor in detail, because they always say that questions and discussions, they are very important. If you are not discussing things with your students, and if you are not accepting questions in answers, so discussion is always a failure, a good feeling. Too much formality, too much seriousness. I'm not saying lectures should be funny, lectures should be out of the focused area. No, it shouldn't be like this. But a lot of formality creates problem all the time, because students will not feel, they will not feel easiness, they will not feel freedom. They will always feel that the teacher has bounded them to follow such rules, and on those rules they won't be able to understand their and even the teacher's opinion all the time. So it's very good that formality and informal behavior should be observed. Last, another sixth query: over reliance on emails. When you are doing work in some company, over reliance on emails means some of the time emails are suspicious too. And if you are believing on those emails, maybe you're not listening directly to other person, that will always create a problem for you, because you are not depending yourself to have oral and written communication with you. Because if the written communication is correct, maybe the oral communication is not correct. If the oral communication is correct, maybe the written communication is not correct. But what happened if you are forcing on emails all the time? That's gonna have problem with you, because that's gonna have a proper notation of negativity with you, because you will always believe the writing pattern, you won't believe the sketch person, or maybe you won't believe the person who is talking to you, because you will believe the emails. So that's very bad. So you should follow these things, that you always rely on oral as well as on the written aspect. Another factor which creates a problem is the lack of role models. People and students specifically, they are very hard to achieve, because some of the time they doesn't like such behavior by teachers, because mostly uh, because I'm a teacher, basically I've been teaching students. I don't have any organizational or maybe any kind of industrious behavior. I don't have the observation of this. As well as students are concerned, they're very sensitive. Some of the time they are very hard to understand, and if they accept you as their role model, your life is very easy with them in class session. But if they are not accepting you as a role model, it's gonna have a big problem. And in a person's life, it's very important to modelize someone in your life, because if you're not making anyone your role model, that will always create a problem for you, because role models always guide you. They provide a beacon for your vision, they provide enlightenment to your perceptions, and if you are not serious to follow them, and if you are not giving proper time to such things, it's gonna have problem in your afterlife. So when you communicate with people, when you think that they are behaving in a role model way, it's very important, because you have to accept it, try to follow them, try to be like them, because It will create easiness in your life spectrum. It will create easiness in your fallings, because role models are very important. Being Muslims, if we believe that, we believe in Allah, we have a role model of Prophet in our mind. Whenever we are in some crisis, we always think about a Prophet. We always said, do this. You always believe, do that. So if you have a role model in your mind, that's gonna have a proper message in your mind, psychological clearance in your mind, that what you have to do and what you don't have to do. Like as in my previous lectures, I said about the phenomena. If you want to feel relaxed, put blame on the things which are believing in you that they are creating problem for you. If you are not supposed to blame others, that's gonna have problem with you. It doesn't mean that start quarreling with anyone. No, it's not that. Always try to blame any object and try and some kind of object which is not movable, which is someone's ideology, and maybe which is someone's thing or belonging. Because in case if you're blaming something that due to this that happened, due to this that happened, that will create easiness to do your catharsis. Because if you're not doing catharsis, that will directly affect your vision, that will directly affect your personality. So lack of role models, lack of those personalities who are just diligently just with you, they are providing guidance to you, and if you are lacking that, it's gonna have problem with you. Another is fear of emotions. If someone is excess sensitive, if someone is extra non-mature, and if he or she is not strong enough to bear the emotions, that that's another factor of communication barrier. Because if you're crying all the time, someone has something and you started crying, that's gonna have very bad impact on others. That we were saying something positive to him or her, and in return he or she is crying, she is arguing, and in return he or she is depicting something bad. So it's very bad. It's really, really bad. So think about this factor, that whenever you're talking about emotions and about the fear, try to consolidate your vision, that be strong, and be on the positive side, where you are just describing yourself with emotions, but with positive emotions, with digestiveness, but with positive digestiveness. And that's for physical office layout. What is your physical office layout? What is your personality in return to others? If it is attractive and adjustable for you and for others, it will have very good results for you. Because if your physicality and your physical layout, if it is positive and acceptable for others, and charming, attractive, beautiful, handsome for others, that will always create a good impact on others as well as on your personality too. Because in return, when you think about these factors, your physicality and your physical strength always strengthen your inner strength. Because if you are attractive and glamorous from the outer side, that will support your outcoming, that will support your outgoing areas. So it's very important to follow these. Another thing, this is a supposed model of good conversation. So it's being used in offices, it's been used in industries, how we can just rely on good satisfaction and conversational level. So in 1 month, what is the time period? This is a climate review period. Just try to observe the climate, just try to observe the things, look at what will be the content in your mind, that job is a kind of proper action, proper function for you, and you have to be morally strong and you have to communicate. But some key questions you should have in your mind in that first month. How would you rate your current job satisfaction? because it's very important. You can't be happy and you can't be saying, okay, I have the best job in my mind. No, always think about some factors, sorry, which are creating a justified vision to your mind. If you are satisfied with the job, how would you rate your morale? Are you accepting everyone? Are you just going good with everyone? And how would you rate your communication? Are you good, satisfied, formal, informal with everyone? That will decide your first month's routine over there. If you're quiet all the time, if you're not participating, it's not that quietness is bad. It's good. It's not very good to all the time just just looking like hee hee ha ha, just a talkative person. It's not the actual strength. But when you talk about communication, when you are rating the communication, always that thing in your mind that for the first month you should always observe the good things. You should always follow the job satisfaction. You always follow the good communication level with you. And for making a good climate for you, you always think about it. You have to think about this self if you want to improve yourself. So in second month, what come in your regard? Your strengths and talents. So what are your strengths and talents? Uh, your content should be efficiently deploying strengths and talent. Try to show your best to others. Try to show your inner satisfaction to others. By doing this, you will be very much relaxed. You will be very much at ease if you're doing that. So, what are your strengths and talents? What should be your confidence, your forbearance level, your ability to grab the negativity, your ability to understand the positivity in things, and what can be the strengths and talents while you're using in your current future organization. You have to always understand this, because if you are applying good things in regard, it's gonna have good results in you in return. Because if you are deploying and if you are applying good things in form of strengths and talents, that's gonna have positive results on your organization as well as on your personality. Because by doing this, you will always have the understanding that this is my right path, or maybe this is my correct way to communicate with others. Another thing, opportunities for growth. Very important month for you, because after 2 or 3 months you just try out what is good and what is bad for me. So what should you do for the improvement of your performance, and how can I assist you to improve your performance? So first is about you, how you can improve it, and second, how you can assist others to improve your performance. It's very important to focus both of the things, because when you are thinking about the opportunities for growth, you have to first overcome yourself, your phenomena, your strengths, your priorities, and on the second level, you have to understand and you have to undergo your own views as well as the views of people who are with you, and you have to find those people who have that confidence level, who has that boosting level with them. So you have to go with them if you want to improve yourself. So learning and development. So another phase of your life is learning. Is a very important phase of your life, because it's developing with you support and growth, because it's giving you growth and support. And what are the key questions? What are you learning? What are you liking to learn? And another thing, what learning opportunities would you like to undertake? What will you accept and what will you give an answer? As we had talked about in psychological terms. So it's a two-way process again. What you're accepting and what you're offering in regard. Last month is dedicated to innovation and continuous improvement. is time when you have learned everything, when you have justified everything with you, and now you have to move very smoothly this situation. Now this is the time where you can move just like a free bird, because now you have ample knowledge of the things, because 4 to 5 months are enough to understand any industry, any job criteria. It's very important. So 5 months are done. You are capable enough to do everything, and you are capable enough to create good opportunities for you and good operationalities for you. So this is all about how you can make your supermodel. So general views about conversation, what people think about this thing. First thing is about coaching, intentionally ongoing development. Coach yourself, then mentoring yourself, day-to-day sharing, informal, formal sharing, mentoring yourself, try to amend yourself, understand yourself, try to narrate yourself, then delegating. Try to develop yourself, try to give others your best, then visionizing, then visioning yourself. Share, sustain, think about why I'm doing this, why this is this, think about this, just relate yourself with this, then encourage yourself. Think this, this thing gonna have good results, this thing gonna have best results. So uh, mix yourself with people and feel significant things out of it. So thank you for today's patience, and I'll wait for the answer and question session, and I will try my level best to answer your queries. So best of luck, and I hope the lecture is understandable for you and it's clear to you. So I'll wait for the queries and I'll wait for questions. Thank you so much.